Hello everyone, welcome to Site 24/7. I'm Martini and I will be hosting this webinar today along with Ilango Vimal, our technical expert. Today's session will be on monitoring virtualization platforms and networks in enterprise organizations. Let me move on to the spotlight of today, monitoring your virtualized IT infrastructure. To build context, let us start with the basic question, what is virtualization? Well, as most of us would know, virtualization is the process of creating a virtual version of something like a computer hardware. It involves using specialized software to create a virtual computing resource rather than the actual version of the same resource. Today, virtualization is considered as IT asset optimization. It is gaining popularity in enterprise environments as an infrastructure as a service. For data centers, SMBs, and larger enterprises, virtualization offers a solution for resource management. This helps in achieving greater system utilization, lowering total costs, and ease of management. Let us look at some of the other benefits that virtualization offers. Today, virtualization is not just a possibility, but it is becoming mainstream in data centers across the business world. Technology is evolving at a rapid rate, and virtualization is no longer just about consolidation and cost savings. It is about the agility and flexibility needed for service delivery in data centers, production environment, and the infrastructure that supports mission-critical applications. This provides a range of benefits to computing systems such as improved resource utilization and management, application isolation, and system reliability. Virtualization also enables IT personnel to respond to business needs more rapidly with lower costs and improved operational efficiency. They are changing the IT delivery model to provide an on-demand self-service across to a shared pool of computing resources via a broad network. Now that we know what virtualization is and its benefits, let us quickly run through the different components in a virtualized environment. The host machine is the physical hardware upon which the virtualization takes place. This is the guest machine that runs the applications and user environment for each virtual system. There can be multiple virtual machines running on a single host. The hypervisor is the software that exists to run, create, and manage the virtual machines. The hypervisor is what makes virtualization possible and creates a virtual environment in which the guest machines run. Although not in complete detail, that was a quick introduction about what virtualization is, its components, and its benefits. There are quite a few players in the virtualization industry, including VMware, Hyper-V, Oracle, Citrix, and Red Hat. Let us get started on one of the major service providers of virtualization software and services, VMware. VMware virtualizes servers and consolidates resource allocation and usage. From data centers, storage services, cloud management to desktop softwares, VMware has grown to become a global presence. But to reap the full benefits of this technology, it is important to understand the challenges surrounding VMware and methods to overcome them to fully optimize their use. For this, it is necessary to understand the architecture of VMware resources, their usage and performance at every step. I think that was a lot of technical definitions to follow. Shall we discuss this further with a use case? Let me tell you how Zilker Corp, an enterprise organization, manages their virtual infrastructure with Site 24/7. This is typically Zilker's organizational setup. As we can see, the organization has to manage multiple layers of virtualization, from ESX or ESXi hosts, VMs, vCenters to physical servers, and ensure all of their performance is intact. Because any amount of unavailability or performance degradation can turn out to be expensive and cause a serious impact on Zilker's reputation and business. This is solved by monitoring their entire environment with Site 24/7. Let me tell you how. When I said monitoring their entire environment, Zilker could have probably used VMware's in-house management console, vSphere, that is free of cost. Why would they opt for a third-party monitoring tool like Site 24/7 to monitor and manage their virtual environment? With Site 24/7, Zilker gets the following insight that helps them manage their mission-critical servers and hosts. Assessing the resource usage at the granular level for each guest VM gives them an idea about the resource utilization per guest VM. Based on this, they can make decisions on resource requirements for the future. Avoiding resource contention at the parent and child level effectively helps them manage and allocate resources across hosts and VMs. Tracking the activity of every VM tells them the changes due to vMotion and workload shifts. Monitoring the hardware sensors ensures the VM environment works uninterrupted. Avoiding resource exhaustion by setting thresholds and receiving timely alerts averts failures. Knowing which ESX or ESXi host is running low on resources saves the other associated VMs. Let me tell you the other benefits Zilker gets by using Site 24/7 VmWare Monitoring. Not just the performance metrics, Zilker gains visual aids like graphs and dashboards as well as timeline-based views for monitoring. Scheduled reports, threshold configurations, and third-party integrations are some of the other features that Site 24/7 offers. With threshold configuration and third-party integrations, they receive timely alerts on issues like almost depleted resources and imminent downtimes through different channels of their choice. AI-powered predictions like a 7-day forecast of data store and VM space and IT automation to automate incident remediation are two powerful features that Site 24/7 provides to reduce MTTR and manual intervention. This ensures a better and more streamlined VMware monitoring experience for Zilker. So shall we add a VMware component like ESX or ESXi host in Site 24/7 now before getting into other details? Let me show you how that's done. I'm here in our VMware monitoring webpage. Click Login at the top right corner of the page, or in case you do not have a Site 24/7 account yet, click on Sign Up. Enter a username, password, and click on Sign Up. That's it. No string attached. Once in the client, you will be directed to the Add VMware Resource page, wherein you need to install a lightweight on-premise poller based on your OS platform to monitor your entire virtual infrastructure. Once the on-premise poller is successfully installed, select the VMware component that you want to install: vCenter, ESX, VM, Resource Pool, or Datastores. Does this look like too much? Well, apart from vCenter, adding your ESX or ESXi host will automatically discover and add all the other components with just a toggle switch. I've now successfully added an ESX or ESXi host for monitoring. Let us now look at the various performance metrics in detail. Monitoring the performance and health of ESX hosts for longer duration helps analyze trends and patterns for spikes in usage. With Site 24/7, you can view ESX host monitoring data for different timelines, that is, for configurable timelines, and also view ESX data without vCenter. Also, details of VMs associated with a host along with the ESX core metrics can be viewed without switching tabs. Guest disk details are important metrics for VMs. To plan resource allocation, it is important to analyze the VM usage trend, which is greatly influenced by the guest disk partition and other performance metrics of the guest disk at the OS level. It is also essential to monitor the disk partition in a VM, for which provisioned space and reclaimable space are key metrics. Since data stores are the key storage entities in a VMware environment, it is always important to keep track of their occupied space. Snapshots can use up disk space very quickly. With AI-powered insight from Site 24/7, you can monitor the current usage while forecasting future trends for available space, space used by snapshots, and disk space. On a similar note, historical data on free space is also essential to analyze when and what used up storage space in the past. Seeing a data store's read or write rate, the operations of various VMs that use it, and its latency in the same tab helps you understand how each VM uses that data store. As their name indicates, resource pools are the resource reserves, and it is important that they are always undercommitted to avoid performance issues. Monitoring just the resource pool may not be complete because you will miss out on the resource pool's overall tree state, its child resource pools, and the child VMs that use it. Monitoring the CPU and memory utilization of all your resource pools from a single pane would offer comprehensive monitoring. After the adoption of vSphere and DRS, organizations should be particularly concerned about monitoring resource pools at the cluster level and not just the ESXi host level. Site 24/7 offers that flexibility for monitoring resources. Okay, let's come back to the Zilker use case. Is it sufficient to monitor just a virtual environment to ensure the performance is intact? In a virtualization infrastructure, it's not easy to manage virtual network relationships. Network managers must remember that demand for power and network capacity changes depending on peak traffic hours. Earlier, infrastructure was static. Applications lived on dedicated physical servers with static NICs that could be configured once and forgotten. But now, finding a way to reconnect physical resources and virtual workloads that are fluid and mobile is a challenge. For example, Zilker had to reduce the number of physical servers for efficient management. This in turn increased the number of users on each server proportionately. In this scenario, the power usage and network utilization for those servers must be managed and monitored accordingly so that the bandwidth is adjusted up and down depending on the need. Also, when managing a large enterprise environment like Zilker, a network connection failure would have a major impact on their business operations. Hence, it is essential to monitor the health of physical components in their network along with the layers of virtualization. This helps in detecting issues before they affect the system and reduce issues related to dynamic IT environments. Site 24/7 provides a cloud-based and scalable network monitoring software to help Zilker with any network issues. Now, shall we see how to add a network monitor before we get started with the metrics and other features? In the Site 24/7 client, we saw the addition of on-premise Polar for monitoring the VMware components. From there, let's navigate to the Network tab and click on Add Monitor. Again, using the same on-premise Polar, we can monitor the network environment. Select the Polar which has network module enabled and provide credentials according to your SNMP version to help Site 24/7 fetch data for monitoring. That's it, you're done and we take care of the rest. But what if Zilker had to monitor custom attributes or monitor a device that Site 24/7 hasn't added a device template for? For example, Zilker had to monitor the kWh power consumption in the past hour for an uninterrupted power supply. So how did Site 24/7 solve this problem? With Site 24/7 custom SNMP monitoring, all Zilker needed was basic SNMP support for the device. By entering the SNMP OIDs, the kWh power consumption or other custom performance counters could be added for monitoring. Let me show you how a custom performance counter like the power consumption is added for monitoring in Site 24/7. In the same Network tab, click on a network device that's been added for monitoring and go to the Performance Counters tab. Click on Add Performance Counters and enter the SNMP OID, a name and description for identification, and the unit. Add and save your changes. With that, associate this with the device template that is created. You can now view this metric in the Performance Counters tab. Now that was about adding a network monitor. With that done, let me continue to tell you how we helped Zilker solve their network issues. As I had mentioned while showing you installation of network monitors, the Polar automatically discovers and monitors all the devices in Zilker's environment. This makes installation hassle-free. With over 450 vendors supported, including Cisco, HP, Canon, Juniper, D-Link, and Dell, Zilker can monitor them all or even anything more by just entering the SysOID. Not just installation, we make configuration of the added components also hassle-free. Over 10,000 device templates with predefined set of monitoring parameters pertaining to each network device type, Zilker can customize monitoring needs based on their requirements. Fetching performance metrics is important, but in such a large environment like Zilker's, identifying which interfaces are using the most bandwidth is difficult. Our health dashboard provides help with this by showing the top devices based on response time and packet loss. Let me show you how exactly the dashboard looks like in the Site 24/7 client. In the Site 24/7 web client, once the network monitor is added, click on Health Dashboard. Zilker can, in one view, identify the top devices and top interfaces based on traffic, bandwidth utilization, errors, and discards. Network systems are prone to errors, and it's even more difficult to find any anomalies in such large environments. Site 24/7 not only processes the SNMP traps and displays them, but also instantly notifies Zilker for immediate resolution. I had shown you Zilker's organizational structure in the beginning of the presentation. Imagine the network connections, the cluttered interconnections, nodes, and links in such a large environment. With new devices constantly connecting and disconnecting, creating a mental image of the entire network is impossible. This is where network mapping steps in. Site 24/7's Layer 2 maps helps Zilker view the physical interconnections existing in their network, visualize them, and deconstruct the complexities involved. Let me show you how the map looks like in the Site 24/7 web client. In the Site 24/7 web client, below the health dashboard is the Layer 2 maps. So you can hover on a device to view its basic configuration details. This is a radial tree view of Zilker's network environment. Using this view, Zilker maps the performance of their devices and interfaces to spot any network problems at a glance. Straight from the map, they can quickly drill down to the problematic device or link and resolve that issue instantly. Do you wish to learn how to add a layer 2 map? Watch a quick video and get it done today. That was about how we manage Zilker's virtual and network environments. But does Site 24/7 provide monitoring for just VMware and network? We are more than just a VMware and network monitoring tool. Let me tell you how. Site 24/7 is always in line with new inventions being made in technology, and our customers' requirements are always at the forefront for us. That's why we recently launched monitoring support for the hyper-converged infrastructure, Nutanix. So this being a new technology, let's start with some fundamentals. What is HCI? Dating back to 2009, Nutanix brought in HCI with the vision to invent a better way to build and manage data centers. HCI is a single platform approach that virtualizes all the elements of legacy infrastructure such as storage, compute, networking, and management and combines them into a single software-defined IT infrastructure. HCI comprises of a hypervisor, software-defined storage, and virtualized networking, all of which simply and effectively replace separate servers, storage networks, and storage arrays. Okay, we now know what is HCI, but how does Nutanix really work? In a typical Nutanix environment, multiple nodes form a cluster, and each node in a cluster runs a hypervisor. A virtual machine called the controller VM runs on every node in the cluster. Monitoring every node, VM, and cluster is the right approach to stay on top of Nutanix environment. Coming to the monitoring part, Nutanix also has its own monitoring tool known as Prism. So why Site 24/7 to monitor Nutanix? With the same on-premise Polar installed in your virtual infrastructure, Site 24/7 monitors Nutanix clusters, hosts, and VMs, as well as the resources present in all of these components. It is also important to monitor latency, I/O operations, and the data transfers occurring on each resource, storage controllers, content cache, virtual disks, and virtual NICs to ensure the proper functioning of the entire Nutanix environment. Let me show you how the performance metrics can be viewed in the Site 24/7 web client. I had last shown you the layer 2 maps for network devices. From there, navigate to Nutanix and click on any device that's been added. Say, I click on the Nutanix cluster that's been added. You can see that we have a separate listing for Nutanix clusters, hosts, and virtual machines. Clicking on a Nutanix cluster, you will be able to view the configuration details and the performance metrics. In addition to VMware and Nutanix, Site 24/7 also monitors another key player in the virtualization industry, Hyper-V. Monitoring for Hyper-V is done via the Site 24/7 Windows Server Monitoring Agent. Since the installation part slightly differs from the above two virtualization monitors, let me show you how this is done. In the Site 24/7 web client, navigate to the Server tab and click on Hyper-V Monitor. Download the Site 24/7 Windows Server agent, and the agent will automatically discover and add the Hyper-V server for monitoring. Now that the agent has auto-discovered and added the Hyper-V server for monitoring, shall we see what performance metrics we provide? Get details on the CPU usage, replication, and parent checkpoint of each VM. This will ensure workload continuity and recovery when outages occur. VMs are provided with a certain number of virtual processors. Knowing the amount of cores that the VM can see and use in a system is essential for Hyper-V performance management. Know the bytes traversal and packets traversal per second to identify and assess the resource load on each network connection. This helps prevent rapid increase in the number of VMs on a single host server that could lead to a system crash. Storage issues can have a direct impact on the performance of the end-user application. Thus, it is critical to analyze the disk usage of the entire Hyper-V environment as well as for each VM. Decide how each individual VM has to act in the Hyper-V environment by using the start, stop, restart options. You can also automate these options on a Hyper-V VM when there is a threshold violation using Site 24/7 IT automation. Want to learn more about this in detail? Watch our video on Hyper-V monitoring and get started. Just because I mentioned Hyper-V, let me also add on this point that the Site 24/7 Windows Server Monitoring Agent not only auto-discovers and monitors Hyper-V, but also other Microsoft applications, including Exchange, SQL, IIS, Windows Cluster, and Active Directory. With this, let me talk a little more about Site 24/7 before wrapping up. Site 24/7 supports monitoring for varied IT components from a single console. Importantly, more than the features, we are a flexible, powerful, secure, and agile monitoring solution. Monitoring is done from 100 plus global locations, and there is no hassle for customers to maintain any supporting infrastructure. And we scale with you, whether it is hundreds or thousands of servers with minimal overhead costs. Site 24/7 undergoes an industry standard security audit every year where an evaluation of the design and operating effectiveness of controls is diligently done. During my quick outline on Site 24/7, I had referred to us as an all-in-one monitoring solution. True to that, we monitor customer-facing websites and record end-user experience in real time to the backend servers and applications hosted on premises and in multiple clouds. Monitoring websites, servers, and applications are critical, but that does not cover an entire IT infrastructure. An IT environment has more than just these components, and they are equally important for the continued functioning of business. Site 24/7 is not only an all in one monitoring tool, but a comprehensive solution as well. Say, I want to monitor a web server like Tomcat running in my production environment. The Tomcat plugin is a ready to install integration that monitors the performance, availability, and usage stats of Tomcat servers. Likewise, we provide 100 plus plugin integrations to monitor databases, web caches, message brokers, big data applications, and more. Can't find the one you're looking for? No issues. Build your own plugin using Python, Shell, Batch, PowerShell, VB, or DLL for Windows and Linux platforms. Any collaboration or communication tool you depend on, Site 24/7 will integrate with. Route notifications easily to Slack. Automatically create and update tickets in Jira and Manage Engine Service Desk Plus so that bugs don't fall through cracks. Trigger and resolve incidents in PagerDuty, Zapier, and ServiceNow. Send alerts to webhooks to enrich your existing workflows and trigger custom code. The list doesn't end here. We keep adding them to make conversations easier and smoother for you. It's time to join us. More than 10,000 customers trust Site 24/7 to gain comprehensive insight into their infrastructure and application. Ready to get started? Sign up now for a 30-day free trial and get started with Site 24/7 for a seamless monitoring journey. Our expert team helps you get the most of our monitoring platform when, where, and how you need it. Hope you found this webinar to be informative and interesting.